Hi, this is Jill. Welcome to the Life After podcast, where we talk about moving from surviving to thriving. This podcast is for anyone who wants to learn, grow, to get tips and tricks about how to inspire you to become the person you want to be, and get clarity about exactly what you want in life. This is also the place to be if you want to be lifted up and encouraged to go out and do great work in the world. What has happened in your past does not have to define who you are today or who you become in the future. And in fact, what has happened to you in the past should, can, and will shape who you want to be. This podcast is also about bringing people together. It's about connecting all of you, helping you identify where you are in your process. What do you need to feel more engaged and alive in your life? More connected to the people in your circle? This is a community of those who are looking to improve our world in the way that is most meaningful to them. Why is this important? Because how we show up really matters. Bringing more service, kindness, and love into the world is critical right now. It is your reaction to adversity, not the adversity itself, that determines how your life's story will develop. Dieter F. Uchtdorf. Grit is guts, resilience, industriousness, and tenacity. Grit is the ability to focus, stay determined, stay optimistic in the face of a challenge, and simply work harder than the next guy or gal. Kaplan Thaler. When we learn how to become resilient, we learn how to embrace the beautifully broad spectrum of the human experience. Jaeda Dewalt. In times of adversity and change, we really discover who we are and what we're made of. Schultz. We don't develop courage by being happy every day. We develop it by surviving difficult times and challenging adversity. Barbara de Angelis. And finally, your attitude towards problems, difficulties, and adversities is the most important factor in overcoming them. Napoleon Hill. In this episode, we are going to talk about what you can do when something you feel bad is happening to you in your life. Now, bad can mean anything we perceive as challenging, frustrating, irritating, scary, terrible, or any other countless words. The idea is that we all have things happen in our lives that can derail us, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes 5 months, and unfortunately, sometimes for 5 years or more. How do you move quickly and adeptly to recover from those bad things that happen to you? It's a combination of having grit, resilience, and mental toughness. All are a little different, and all can help you come back to your center more quickly and easily. I'm always saying, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Usually, I'm in an environment where I'm talking about domestic violence, abuse, and neglect when making that statement. I'm going to expand it for our conversation today because, really, we only know what people show us. And depending upon your personality, your circumstances, or your situations, you may not share fully or exactly what's really happening in your life. There are lots of reasons for this, and there's absolutely no judgment or criticism in that statement. It's simply reality. Sometimes we don't share everything that's going on. Furthermore, unless we've had a lifetime with someone, and how often does that really happen, they're going to know us at a point in time. That's why so many people that know me now, that have met me in the last 5-ish years, can't imagine that once I was a full-blown pessimist. Again, that's okay. I'm going to squirrel for a minute. I recently met my best girlfriends from high school for a long weekend. What an absolute treasure they are to me. And part of that is a wonderful aspect of our reality in that we have this shared history, which allows us to understand each other differently in a way that most people don't in our everyday lives. I love them so much and am so grateful for their friendship. In reality, people have challenging, difficult, or downright terrible things happening in their lives all the time. And unless we're paying really close attention, we have no idea that it's going on. I'm going to do a shameless plug here for kindness and patience and care towards the ones we come across. One compelling article title says it all. Everyone around you is grieving. Go easy. So what do? What happens when you find that life just isn't going the way you want? Not because you're not trying, but because, well, it's life. From the car breaking down to an unexpected bill when money is already tight, to losing a pet, a rift in an important relationship, or a cancer diagnosis, they're all, unfortunately, fairly common examples. In most of these cases, you often have no control. You're at what it feels like mercy of the event. When this happens, there are various steps you can take to build and practice having resilience. I read somewhere once that the key to resilience is to bend, not break. I love this idea because it reminds us that we have the ability to learn and grow and be flexible when working through something difficult. Everyone is resilient. And like fitness, everyone is at a different level. So, are you ready to learn some ways to strengthen that resilience muscle? When we're in the middle of experiencing a bad situation, the first tip I've got is to start with possibility thinking. Now, there are times when this will be more effective than others, of course. My sister said to me once during a trying time, "It could be 1,000 things. Don't focus on the one." And I've carried this comment with me for many, many years and attributed it through several challenges. I'm going to add a layer to it. Not only do you not want to focus on the one thing it could be, you want to shift your focus on to all the most positive possibilities that can occur as a result of or an outcome of that challenge. Let's take the car breaking down or unexpected bill as an example. Certainly not an optimal position to be in, especially when there may be economic uncertainty for you overall. But maybe this bill or expense is just the thing you need, that last push to start selling your art, or putting on that garage sale, or taking a closer look at the budget to find those extra needed funds. My coach, Molly Mandelberg, yes, coaches have coaches, often encourages her clients to think of 50 ways that money can come into your life. They can be as unbelievable as possible. An alien comes down to earth and drops $500 in your lap. They don't have to make sense, so get super creative. This is possibility thinking at its best. Reminding ourselves that there are out-of-the-box possibilities that can shift our current reality. Even if that alien doesn't show up, thank goodness, at least we feel more empowered about what we can do to address our current bad situation, and thereby shift our focus in a more positive direction. An exercise that you can practice that includes possibility thinking is to use your values to build your resilience. I found this exercise on psychologytoday.com several years ago, and I'm adapting it here. These are the 4 steps. The first step is to describe your difficult situation. You can either just think it through or write it down or talk it out loud to yourself or a friend. Include the details, but don't let the description derail or discourage you from moving through the other steps. The second step includes possibility thinking with a twist. Identify your reasons for working through your difficult or challenging situation. Why is it worth it to move through the challenge? What might happen when you do so? Third is to identify your values. Your values are the things that you consider to be important in life, such as integrity, kindness, family, helping others, financial freedom, independence. The list can go on and on. Connect your values in step 3 to the reasons you've come up with in step 2 to understand why moving through this difficult situation is worth it. These reasons should also naturally help motivate you to resolve the situation. The fourth and final step is to stay in touch with your values. Once you've done step 3 the first time, you are really just tapping into those values when you need to remind yourself of them. As psychologytoday.com says, the stress that results from stressful events can absorb so much of our attention that we lose track of what is truly important to us. And yet, values can serve as a light in the darkness of stressful times, reminding us why it is worth fighting for something, to keep going, and to take responsibility. Because of the cost of my divorce, I was the queen of creative cash management. And it helped me to grow my resilience muscle, always needing to come up with new and innovative ways to make sure that not only the bills got paid, but that I was also available to live my values. One of those values was to make sure that my kids always had expansive life experiences. I was able to balance the overwhelm of the legal bills with the knowledge that it was more important that I was present for the kids and could give them a good foundation for which to build their own lives eventually. Know that sometimes our values can change over time. So if you find yourself doing this exercise and your values have changed, that's totally normal. Also, in some circumstances, we may value things differently than in others. I feel like we talk a lot about music. Admittedly, it is my go-to, easy peasy, fastest way ever to shift your mindset. And this is because it works. Put on upbeat music, and I challenge you not to be bebopping away in 15 seconds or less. Later this season, my good friend Matthew Melendez of Great Bend Music is going to be a guest to talk about all the beauty and benefits of music. Until then, just know that when you are dealing with a difficult situation, turn on your favorite music, be sure to plan those playlists in advance, and you'll feel better and have a clearer brain to determine your next step in how to handle your difficult situation. This one is so big, we've got a whole episode on it in season 1. It's episode number 7 if you'd like to go back and listen again. What you tell your brain matters a lot. So be very, very careful of what your internal dialogue looks like, especially when you are living through a bad situation. I did this exercise for the dance team a few years ago. They had a particularly difficult move they were trying to perfect. So we practiced instead of saying, "I can't do it," which is so often what we do. They all repeated continually and out loud, "I can do it." And then they tried the move. Several of them saw instantaneous improvement just by simply shifting the language they were telling themselves. What you tell your brain is so incredibly powerful. Don't ever discount the messages that you are telling yourself. And on a side note, pay attention to the messages others are giving you as well. If you're struggling through something, surround yourself with more optimistic people so they can help pull you up and out of it. Self-care is such a buzzword right now, so I'm often reluctant to include it in my talks. It's an absolutely critical piece to moving through challenges, however. So here we go. Sleep. For those of you that know me well, sleep is generally not my friend. Anyone else in that place? I encourage you to learn to really listen to your body. And if it's telling you it needs rest or sleep, do it. Because sleep is a struggle, I have learned to take the occasional nap and find that to be incredibly helpful. You might want to try that too. The second self-care tip is stress management. Life is already complicated enough without the added stress of a difficult situation. Build your resilience by having some habits around stress management already in place. Moving regularly and gently, for those of you that might not like the word exercise. Walk the dog. Take a 10 or 15-minute walk during your lunch break. Stretch. Get off your phone for a few minutes to quiet the noise in your brain. There are a multitude of ways to manage your stress. Start practicing them now. So when you really need them, you've already got the muscle memory in place. And most importantly, don't neglect your good stress management habits when your life gets, more stressful. It's so easy to stop moving, get less sleep, and eat poorly when we're stressed. Sometimes we use the stress as an excuse to be more lenient on the things we know are good for us. Well, that bill is really stressing me out, so I'm going to have an extra donut because I deserve to feel better somehow. Try to avoid this thinking and keep up with your good habits. The payoff is that moving through that stressful or difficult situation will be easier to get through when you do. My final tip for self-care is a little unorthodox. It's preparation. It's a gift when we know and can accept that life isn't always going to run smoothly. One, because then we're not caught off guard when it happens in the first place. And two, because then we can prepare for the inevitable blips in our life. We can get into good habits of self-care. We can build our resilience for the little things. Traffic, anyone? We can practice shifting our mindset. And we can get accustomed to the messages we want to be paying attention to and focusing on. I can't say it any better than Benjamin Franklin. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And ultimately, who wants to fail at life? I'm always here to help. Please reach out to me if you would like some additional support, would like me to come speak to your organization or school, would like to be a guest on the show. There's a link in the show notes for how to reach me, or go to my website at locatecoaching.com. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode on what to do when something bad happens in your life. Remember, you have a choice for how to move through the inevitable challenges that life throws at us. Always be building that resilience muscle and practice how you want your life to be. Then when you get that curveball, you can hit it out of the park. I appreciate you sharing these episodes. This podcast is a powerful resource for anyone that is looking to make changes in their lives. So please, please, please help me grow by sharing, liking, and subscribing. There will be new episodes on the second and fourth Wednesday every month. I promise that every episode I'm going to show up and help support you in your individual journey. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.